Hello, welcome to today's Agile program. Hope you are having a wonderful Friday morning. The sun is out over here in Ghana and it's really cool. Um, without much ado, let's get straight into the program. So, for today, we have Edna Engmann. Hello, Edna.
Um,
Nice to have you on the show. Um, so Yeah, Edna is a career woman who currently works with Fidelity Bank Ghana Limited as a digital and innovation specialist. She began this new journey 3 years ago, and it has dramatically changed her perception of life and how she sets goals and achieves them. In her personal life, it's made her a better music minister, counselor, and family woman. Her deepest passion is working with young women, training women to change the world. Edna, um, please, so the floor is yours for today.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak at the Agile 20 Reflect Festival. As Ahnam said, my name is Edna. I have been working with Fidelity Bank for a couple of years, actually eon of years in my financial career. I have been blessed to be part of the Fidelity digital transformation journey from the very beginning and looking at how we leverage innovation and agile in this. So we are going to talk about that. And during this presentation, what we want to seek to bring out is the relevance of innovation in today's world. Look at what people are doing in the world, what is happening in the financial sector, because I work in the financial sector, how we can apply this to our daily lives, and how Africa can be at the cutting edge of this new wave that we are going through. So, how did we get here? So, I want to start from the global village. You know, a couple of years ago, I remember hearing stories of travel where our parents had to go by ship or by road, and it took months and days to get to one place. But today, things have really changed. We are connecting by easy travel, mass media, and electronic communications, So we've really become a community. And how did this all start? Right. In 1765, it started with the industrial revolutions coming up. So in the first one, we saw that we were leveraging on water and steam to begin to change and mechanize the way we produce things. Okay. But being curious people as we normally are, this metamorphosed into electricity, gas, and oil in the 1870s. This still didn't stop our minds because being human beings, we like to be sustained by what pertains wherever we are. So we straight went into the electronic computer age in 1969, which really created a platform, for where we find ourselves today, being the fourth industrial revolution, which is the digital age, where connectivity has been made ever so easy, made life so seamless. Today we are all in our homes, right? But we are interacting. There was a time we would have to meet physically, drive, call somebody, can we meet here? Can we do this? Can we do that? But the world has changed. Today, I can talk to anybody anywhere in the world because of the fourth industrial revolution, where we are communicating real time. And in looking at all these revolutions, what you realize along the line is we have continually innovated. And it's very interesting because we really use the term innovation at times, I would say, loosely. And I think it's a term we all love to hate because we always say it, but what does it really mean to us? Okay, so I know many people have different versions of innovation, and I'm going to just say that and make it as simple as, right, turning your idea into a solution that will add value from a customer's perspective. Because the reason why we wake up every morning is to make sure that we are meeting our customers' needs. And this idea will be meaningless to any organization or any company or any human being, because we ourselves innovate ourselves over and over again if we do not put our weight behind it, right, to execute it and scale it. Okie dokie. So looking at that, what do we do in innovation? We have four different types of things we can do. Keeping the lights on, ensuring that our businesses or our personal brand is afloat. Okay? Or we have a market and we have seen a new market need. And what do? Look at ways that we can tweak what we have to ensure that that market need is being met. There's also bringing so many little things together to meet the needs of your customer group. But the interesting one that came up in the last 15 years is the disruptive one. The disruptive one uses or looks at an alternative method to meet your customer's need, but meet not just your customer, but a lot of untapped customers. So that's where we saw the proliferation of the Ubers, the Airbnbs. They looked at disruptive innovation. So, disruptive innovation. We can never do this if we do not look at changing our culture and the way we work in our organizations, because more of our organizations are ingrained in a bureaucratic way, and that really does not work. So we have to begin to look at how to invest in innovation, the innovation culture, or across all our employees. We have to look at our customers closely, understand our customers closely. We have to look at our partners we work with, the innovations they have, how we can leverage on it. We have to also keep our eye on our competitors, because more often than not, if you go into the history, a lot of the people that did not survive forgot to look at their competitors. I remember when I was growing up, it was so nice to take a Kodak picture. And when they pulled it out and it was drying, you were like, oh, wow. But now I take a picture with my phone. Kodak does not exist. Maybe Kodak would have existed if it had looked at its competition. So it's very, very key to look at your competition. I call disruptive innovation the stealth innovation. It comes when you least expect it. And when it comes, it just takes over so many things that you ask yourself, where were we? What happened? Where did this come from? And I think that's what we've really seen happening lately. Okie dokie. So we'll just look at some of the disruptors that have affected the world. You know, Netflix. I think all of us now watch movies by Netflix. Years ago, we would go and borrow a movie that's gone. We don't want to use taxis anymore. We use Uber. When we travel, we want to use Airbnb. Microsoft and Co have made life so easy. The iPhones have made life super easy. Samsung, they're always coming up with new innovations, new things that are making it interesting to want to use and keeping you and I engaged. So the Christensen Institute did some studies on all of this whole disruption, evolution of disruption. And over the last 15 years, within this whole agile advent, it began. And in 2016, it came up with the fact that right now, to be disruptive, you have to have the theory of the job to be done. And the job to be done is what we are going to talk about, because we are all entrepreneurs, we are all having our own brand and would like to do things that would make us at the cutting edge and relevant. Okay. So, job to be done is currently understand everything about your customer. Do a lot of research, right? Uncover your customer needs, align yourself to the market, and begin to listen to the customer. I think over the years, we were doing more of telling the customer what they need. Begin to listen to the customer, begin to hear their voice, and come up with products in short intervals that you can keep on tweaking and changing to meet this customer needs. So then an interesting question is this customer we keep talking about, who is a customer? A customer is you and I. Really, it's you and I. And unfortunately, unlike the olden days, we are really spoiled for choice these days. And we have inquiring minds. We really, really like to research, to find out, compare, want to see, feel like we are the king, want to feel like you have a product that meets our needs. And the most important is when I want to access you, I should be able to access you from anywhere in the world at any time. If I cannot do that and you cannot give me that, I am not interested in you. So I said we'll talk a bit about the financial institutions or the banking landscape because you see, money is the basis of everything. Although at times they say the love of it is the root of all evil. Without it, we'll also not be even here. So let's talk about the banking landscape, the financial landscape. So it's very interesting. Brett King says that all these changes, well, are going to affect us in the financial institutions. If it doesn't, then what the banks are going to experience is someone else will come and take away what pertains for them, what their mainstay is. Okay. And which is very true because in the last 2 decades, we are beginning to see the emergence of fully digital banks. We are beginning to serve our customers electronically without brick and mortar. We are seeing innovators like the fintechs, the telcos, who are really a force to reckon with right now. We are seeing a lot of financial inclusive banking, especially in the Africa market. And what we are now beginning to see is banks are forming partnerships to grow the ecosystem to ensure that the customer's need is being met. Because obviously, if you cannot meet my need, I will go elsewhere. And I also need to stay in business. Okay. So really, we are in very interesting and awesome times, as Nana would always say. Andy Grove of Intel said that, and I will paraphrase what he says. He says, success then bred complacency, and that tends to breed failure. It's only the paranoid that survive. But as of now, there is no success because we cannot be complacent anymore because there's so much competition out there that if we do not become paranoid of that, we will not survive. We will not survive. So, as I said, in the banking sector, you see on the left side, all these banks are now giving fully digital services. They don't need brick and mortar, and they have huge clientele. But on the right side, I did put up a couple of people that we need to look out for, especially the telcos, the Venmos, the Amazons, the M-Pesas, the Alibabas. They can overtake the banks and the financial institutions if we do not look at it. So I've been thinking, so we've talked a little bit about the financial sector, the world, how we got here. So in all these innovations, right, and in all this disruption that has been going on, one major theme that begins to come out of all of them is the agile way of approaching these things. because now we are not looking at doing things big bang. We are looking at doing things in smaller tranches to ensure that we are listening to our customer, and not just listening to our customer, but hearing what they're saying and meeting our customers. Jim Highsmith says that agility is the ability to adapt, respond to change, and it actually does create an opportunity for us. So more and more in today's world, we are adapting to change. We are listening to our customer. We are innovating to the voice of the needs. And how are we doing these kind of things? Companies are beginning to change the way they do their day-to-day operations. Okay, companies are introducing innovation desks. They're inculcating innovation in objective setting. They are relooking at the reward system to reward innovation, and not just innovation, but actually the execution of those ideas. Companies are becoming less stringent with people making mistakes, because we know that in the mistakes, that is when inventions and great inventions can happen, right? We are creating a pool of ideas where we are pulling and tapping from those ideas and seeing how to leverage on those ideas to meet the customer needs. A lot of companies are doing more focus groups. They are working with incubators. We are working with fintechs. We are just changing. We are just changing the whole landscape of the things we are doing. And a lot of investment is beginning to go into the agile mindset of working and inculcating it in our culture. We are also looking at a lot of research and development, because without researching, without understanding, we cannot, as a matter of fact, keep abreast. You see, because the other world has gone far ahead of us, but I think there's a lot for us to do in Africa. So and the great part of all of this, just before we go into Africa, is the fact that with doing all of this, our business become more viable because we can serve more customers, we can reduce our cost to serve them, we innovate more, we come up with more products for the customer, we keep our customers more engaged. And guess what? The customer is happy, and your bottom line also is happy, because you tend to get more revenue. So we are Africans, so we need to talk about where we come from when it comes to disruption, innovation, and also when it comes to how we can change our landscape and become the force to reckon with. Okay. So really, Africa has not been left out. We have not been left out. Interestingly, 60% of our population is under the age of 25, which is a really, really great thing, because it gives us room to disrupt not just Africa, but disrupt the whole wide world. Okay. So how are we going to look at doing that? I think the disruption has begun for Africa. Over the last 10 years, our mobile phone usage has risen to about 344%, 344%, yes, which is really huge around the world. I think everyone in Africa Quasar has a phone of a sort, which has helped us with our businesses. So we can see that now things like Momo is thriving in Africa, USSD, SMS banking is thriving. We are seeing a lot of e-commerce thriving in Africa because we are leveraging on using our telephony a lot. Okay. I think our broadband, we have done very well when it comes to connectivity. So right now we are all connected. We are working together. And I think because we have a very low age population, we will see a lot of growth in our world population, meaning very soon we really were going to be the entrance to the world. And how are we going to do that? I think a lot of our governments have come up with a lot of policies. You see now governments are changing, trying to go paperless when it comes to places like the ports. We are trying to in Ghana, for instance, make sure that we have digital addresses, which is also a base for our communication. So we are not just disrupting, working, trying to reach the disruptions out there, but we're also working on our base to ensure that that base will sustain us going forward. So I think there's a lot of work also going forward there. So and we do a lot of e-commerce. I think anyone on this call will attest to the fact that we probably all are on Instagram because we do our shopping all online lately, which was never the case. We now send our locations to people, and the people just come in and bring our goods and our words and our food and whatever we have asked for. So Africa is also disrupting in its own special way. It's in its own special way. And I think we have a very huge inclusive banking sector. And even that sector has also been infiltrated. So we are seeing them doing a lot more electronic money, and which has also brought that change. So Africa has not been left out. Interestingly, I'll talk a little bit about Nigeria because it's in West Africa. So Nigeria has done quite a bit when it comes to digital banks. I mean, Ghana, we're getting there. I think Nigeria has a lot, Kuda, and I know Simon Discovery are from South Africa. In our side, in our African side of the world, we are beginning to have a lot of assisted bankers. So we are seeing that happening in the inclusive sector. We're also seeing that happening in the banking sector in Kenya, M-Pesa. And I think talking about Ghana, MTN mobile money is, everybody has it, whether you have a bank account or not, because it's the easiest way to transact with business, which is also helping by reducing the fact that we are not exposing ourselves financially and reducing some amount of corruption and all the things that could have pertained in that old way of living. Okay. So Winston Churchill said something. He said, a pessimist sees difficulty in every opportunity, and optimist sees opportunity in every difficulty. Why are we talking about that? So last year we were hit by the pandemic. And when we were hit by the pandemic, what happened? What happened? Things suddenly changed. We couldn't move around. We were put on lockdown. How are businesses going to survive? Suddenly, businesses quickly picked up their business continuity plans. We started changing the way we work. We began to work virtual. In working virtual, we got a lot more of the Zooms, the Teams, all coming up with tweaking what they did so that it allowed us to work. A lot of research and development happened in the world, where we're looking at drugs that people can take, vaccinations, how we can work in the pandemic. Interestingly, there was a proliferation of information. So we leveraged on our digital industry, and we just started giving out, in fact, too much information at a point in time. And there was a lot of e-commerce going on. There was a lot of production of masks, PPEs. So suddenly business began to boom for certain people. It began to boom for certain people. Unfortunately, there were some, obviously, jobs that did suffer, like the hospitality industry and stuff. But as human as we are, because we tend to adapt and we try and sustain ourselves in any situation we find ourselves in, we did. And we are not out of the woods, but we are still working. Businesses are beginning to turn around. People are still eating. People are still finding more innovative ways to meet customer needs. I think at a point in time, we would have rather gone to a restaurant, but now we have a lot of delivery services. So everything has changed. Everything has adapted. We have adapted to it. And that is who the human being is. And we did not do it in one bang. we did not do this adoption in one bang. But when this started, we started to take it in tranches. We did it small by small by small by small, and we got it right that we can live in this kind of environment. So this world is really, really moving in a very fast pace, whether you like it or not, or I like it or not. So what do? We need to hop on the train of ensuring that we are doing things in tranches so that we can, as a matter of fact, disrupt just not only the world, but ourselves. So we've talked about how this has affected our world. Okay. So I have a question for everybody who is online. How are you affecting your own personal life? How are you affecting your organization? So I think when Ahonam said, I said my life had changed over the last 3 years when I started this journey. I would give examples of why I said my life has changed. I used to think I was a very meticulous person who will set goals. But what I noticed in my setting of goals is there were times where I would forget about the goals I set and let it pass because it's life. But when I started to work in the agile way, I started to set my goals or my story of what I wanted to see. And then I'll set out my tasks. And I always would follow through to achieve my tasks. So it made me a much better person in my personal life because I kind of juggle quite a lot. And it's helped me to meet all the other things that I needed to do. And I don't get as tired as I used to because I've managed to do it and do it well. So, what are organizations also doing? Okay. So, we've talked about personal life. So, as you're listening, I would like you to begin to write one or two things that you want to see in your personal life to deal with in the agile methodology. I didn't come here to teach you agile because most of you know agile, but I'm talking about how we can apply these things to our lives to make our lives a better life. If you're a young person with an organization, if you are thinking of your own setup, right? Or you've set up something, how are you going to change it? I'll give you a few pointers you can look at on how to change these things. Really look at your setup, identify your gaps, work towards changing it, understand your current customers, understand your untapped customers, see what the service you are offering, how you can offer it to them better that you get them to be loyal to you. Invest strongly in innovation. Right now, the world, YouTube, the world is there. There is so much information. Go out there, learn, listen, um, attend webinars, attend all these things, enrich yourself with knowledge. Okay. But one thing that a lot of us as leaders or as young entrepreneurs do is we like to talk the talk. We need to walk this talk. We cannot just say that we are changing. We need to walk the change. It is a huge mindset change. Agile for me is not about a theory. It is not about someone saying, do it this way, do it that way. It's about the mind. If you can get it right in the mind, you can get it right anywhere you go. Okay. For big organizations that are online, do a bimodal system. Get some people who are innovators, let them be working on ideas, and also do business as usual. So you keep your lights on so that at least you can get your monies coming in, right? We look at our work-life balance. Now we are doing a lot of virtual working. So we really need to work on our work-life balance. Create interesting environments. As we create the interesting environments, we become more creative. We feel more youthful. We come up with more ideas. Okay. And do not forget, if you make a mistake, it does not mean that you have failed. It is actually the board for you to do something better than you did before. Okay. And for anyone in your organization or even yourself, so personally, when I have an innovative idea for my own personal self and I execute it and I like what I got, I give myself a pat on the back and drink a glass of non-alcoholic champagne and say, Edna, you have done very well for yourself. So thank you very much for your time. If you have any questions, let me know. And I hope you've written in the chat box some of the things you would do to change your life and be your brand, disrupt the world. Let somebody see you and see how innovative you look, and let them not see you as static. Let them see you as changing and being more and more appealing to everybody that comes across. And for the organizations and for Africa, the world is our oyster. I think we can take over the world because we have the platform, we have the youth, we have e-commerce, we have all the things. Let us also disrupt in our financial institutions. Let's see more of digital stuff. Let's see more of customers being able to transact from any platform in the world and in Africa. Let us see all of that happening and let us make the world a better world. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Edna. Thank you very, very much for this. Indeed, the world is moving at a very fast pace. To stay relevant, we must hop on the agile train. Um, hmm. So, if you have any questions for Edna, you may drop them in the Q&A session. Any questions at all? Any questions?
Good morning. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, man, we can hear you. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Ahonam. Good morning, Edna.
Good morning, Nana.
Hello.
So lovely to
Can
hear
I?
you.
Thank you. Same here. I would like to say that I don't think that you are. It's moved beyond theory. I think it's become a part of your DNA. Agile and agility, I think it has always been part of you. It's just that the word agile was not used, but the way you eloquently bring it all together in a simple way from the global scale to the Ghanaian or the African experience, and then your personal experience. I think this is no more, I think you've become an agile evangelist.
Yes. Thank you.
I think you've become an agile evangelist, and innovation and agility is something that has become more second nature because that's the way you're wired. It's the way your brain works, looking for new ideas and looking for new ways of solving old problems. So your presentation today has been amazing. And in fact, I would say that you didn't really need the slides because you tell such a good story. You're a good storyteller. And the slides were just basically an enabler, or at least just to keep people, but your voice and your presentation, I think you thought through your material very well. And I'm really excited that West Africa has an agile coach, a scrum master, especially the fact that you're an African woman. So I know that we have Theodora in Nigeria, who's also aspiring to be an agile coach, and there are many other women who I think will be looking up to you as a mentor because we need more African women in the agile space. We need to look at diversity in the agile space, more women as scrum masters, as product owners, as developers. And it's really important that we start cultivating that culture around to let people know that this is something that will help all of us, even for governments, for private companies, for individuals. I've used it for my personal life, and that's the reason why I think I am high performing. And
Yeah.
so for me, I really enjoyed your presentation. And I think on behalf of, myself, I just want to really say thank you so much for that. Ahon, I'm sorry for disrupting and hijacking your MCing, but I couldn't resist, especially because Edna is very special to us in Akaditi and very special to me as well as a person, because she's always been very supportive of the work we are doing in Fidelity Bank. And she's always encouraging people, getting people together, making sure they can hear the Agile message, and just wanting to help people get better. So that has made her a lifelong friend of Akaditi. So for me, I had to say something. So Edna, Ayuko, thank you very much. That was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Nana. Thank you. I am humbled. Thank you very much.
You, whether you like it or not, I think you become one of the agile leaders in West Africa, if not Africa.
Yeah.
Ahonam, over to you.
Thank you, Nana. It's always a pleasure to have you on board. Always. Edna, please. There's a question here for you, and it goes like, how has your organization been able to foster innovation? Oftentimes, companies get focused on the current. How do you look ahead?
No, thank you very much for the question. You are right. Companies normally want to know what is our bottom line. So I said something. It's very good if an organization practices a bimodal way of working. And when we say a bimodal way of working, we're saying look at a stream where you don't mind making mistakes. Okay. You don't mind trying new things. And it could just be a group of people, 3 to 10 people, 9 maximum. Let me say 9 because I'm thinking of a scrum team. Okay. So have that and let them be looking at newer ways of doing things. So once you've created a depository for information or a depository for new ideas, let these people begin to work on those new ideas and see what we can come out with whilst the mainstream is working on what they have to work on, so you do not lose out as an organization, because every leader does not want to lose their bottom line, which is revenue. But if you do it in this way, then you can meet both needs.
Okay, thank you very much for that. There's also another question for you. Um, it says, in your opinion, how does Agile bridge the gaps or lapses in innovation? I'm trying hard to wrap my head around the concept of Agile and innovation.
Okay. So innovation is really coming up with an idea, okay? So it's looking at what pertains around you, okay? And seeing what, let's say you have an organization or you have customers, what your customer would want. And that idea that will make the customer stick to you. So that is the innovation, coming up with the idea. Now, when you have come up with the idea, now your agile mindset is saying that. Under the agile mindset is a methodology, okay? So in this methodology, it says we meet this innovation, right? But we do not meet it in a one bang approach, right? So this is what I know I heard from you. So my idea is, let's say you want your smartphone. So let's use a smartphone. So I want my smartphone to take my temperature, or no, take my pressure, do something, take my pressure, something out of the box, okay? Because in this time, we are seeing that in the pandemic, okay, people are under pressure and always want to know what their pressure is on the go. So that is what our customer need is, okay? Now you come up with a product, right, in an agile methodology, meaning you would bring a portion of checking the pressure by the phone. You bring that app out, the people begin to test it. You begin to get information on as to whether this is meeting their need or it is not meeting their need. With seeing whether it's meeting their need or not meeting their need, you improve it. You keep on improving it. You keep on improving it. And as you improve it, you ship it out. As you improve it, you ship it out. As you improve it, you ship it out. And as you see that, you see the customers' acclimatization to what you're doing forming. So once you see that forming, then it's easy for you to see that you have met the customer's need. So you did not just think about it and just plopped it there and did not do anything around it anymore, but you gave it to the customer in different tranches. For instance, I use Samsung. Samsung recently upgraded their software and I'm loving it. And I used to like my Samsung the way it was before. But now I'm enjoying the way I can call easier than before because we are all on the go and it's nicer to call easier. So they had a customer saying that we want to call easier than we are currently, but they knew that they couldn't do it immediately. So they did it in bits and pieces and now they have reached a certain level. I hope that answers your question.
I think that should do it. That answers the question. I think that answers the question. Edna, so for the few who might not know what Agile is about, just something, could you share an experience, an experience on how you were able to wrap your head around it? I think for the sake of the first person, the question that just came up. Anything, your first event, anything.
Okay, so let me cast my mind back. So I think one of the days I was having a chat with Nana and he laughed at me and said, "You've been doing Agile, but you've been doing it Takashi." Okay. So how did I wrap my mind around Agile? Okay, so I said, let me use my personal life. So I said I'm a counselor, right? And at a point in time, I had too many counselees and I was not sleeping because people had issues. And so I saw myself sleeping after midnight, waking up at 4 or 3:30, and it was stressful. So, and I needed to meet everybody's needs, you know. I was exuberant, but the exuberance was killing me. So with Agile, I said, I need to meet your need, but I can't meet your needs at this time. So I now had to set up, these are the categories of issues I am dealing with, okay? These are the people within these categories I am dealing with. Fine, okay. So I need to put them as, I need to discuss with this person, that person, that person. Let me research further into all these kind of issues and see all the basics that affect these kind of issues. So I have more arsenal. So I've done my research and my development. So I have more arsenal with myself. So when I begin to deal with your issue, it's easy to go to the bottom of it and to help you find a solution to your problem. When I began to do that and I began to put them in buckets, I realized I was more efficient at meeting the people's needs And I could meet their needs in a shorter time, because in the beginning I could spend hours on end because it was like a long thing. Now I could meet their needs in a shorter time. And guess what? I could actually deal with more people in that time and still get my beauty sleep and be able to do other things. So that's a practical way I did it.
Okay.
No, I might actually have something to, in terms of a personal professional experience, one that I think gave us a lot of innovation. So Fidelity Banks, with Edna leading, set up the digital studio, the Agile digital studio or the Scrum studio in Fidelity Bank. And I believe that the applications that were built, um, if you use a tradition, and please correct me, Edna, if you use a traditional approach, I mean, the way you guys were able to set up with some of our help from Akaditi anyway, but it was largely your efforts and the way you guys were able to set up and ginger the teams and get people motivated and inspired. What would have taken 24 months traditionally to make took what, 3 months?
Yes.
Or
Yes.
just under 3 months, 11 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, uh, what was the experience like for you? Uh, let's just say that if everything had gone perfectly well, and all the compliance and the BOG and everything else everything was completely perfectly well, forgetting the impediments and all the blockers that you experience, if everything had gone well, would you, let's say, would that have been a revolution in a sense? In fact, I think it was a revolution, by the way, that what would traditionally take maybe 24 months took like, what, 3 months to do. What was the experience like for you?
So you're right, it was a revolution. Experience was, and that's what Agile also brings out, because you set out to want to achieve something, and you know that after every 2 weeks, if you have defined what you want to do in your sprints, right? You know, after every 2 weeks, you need to come up with something. So everybody works at coming out with it. The other thing too that you begin to realize in these environments, or we experience in the environment, is we bonded a lot. We bonded a lot. So we had a lot of fun together. But in having the fun together, we were producing. So we made our work environment a fun place to be, and yet a very productive place to be. So that was also a really huge experience when you're going in that direction. And one other thing is, we never wanted to go to a daily stand-up and you are the impediment. So you do everything to meet your needs for what you said you were going to do, and you take up the next thing and you do it. So it was I don't want to use the word revolutionary. It was heartwarming to be able to, in every 2 weeks, come up with something that is usable. And that also boosts your morale as a human being, and also gives you the ability to want to innovate even more and do more, because you are achieving and you are seeing evidence of your achievements. So that also really helped our mindset, and we were just going, and it was go 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 go, even with the impediments we had from regulation and stuff. It did not stop us till we got it out there. It did not stop us, because we saw what we had birthed, we saw what we had worked towards, and we knew it was a good thing, and we wanted people to enjoy it.
Wow. Wow, that's wonderful. You have another question. I think this should probably be the last question. And it's a very interesting one. It says, do you think every innovative person will become a good agile practitioner?
It's a difficult question because it may not be this. It may not be the case. It may not be the case because there are people who have great ideas, but it's difficult to execute those ideas. But the great thing that you can do is because you have the great ideas, give it to those who can execute it and execute it well for you. If you are not the type, if you are the type who can do both, then you are a great innovator, you are a great agilist. But if you know, and you see, in this world, we have to know who we are and what our potentials are. So if my potential is to ideate, then bring the ideas, give it to a hub of people who would work on your ideation with you and execute it for it to become an agile production. And because you're part of it, you can keep on giving the ideas to ensure that what you had in mind has been met and the customer's voice in reacting to it has been met. So yes, you can be, and even if you're not, your idea can still work. So it works both ways.
Mm, mm, that's nice. Okay, so Edna, I think we'll wrap up here. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for speaking today. And on behalf of everyone, I think I want to give you a round of applause for sharing with us so much today. All right. So thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you so much. I want to share your social media profile. So on LinkedIn, it's Edna Engmann. I'm typing it in the chats right now. Edna Engmann. Profile is really impressive.